Oh my gosh, guys, I am so excited. Summer is almost here, and that means we get to pack with our llamas. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what you should wear on one of our trips, what goes in your backpack, and what's going to go on the llama. So stay right with me. All right, folks, I get a lot of questions on what kind of clothing I should wear, what's the weather going to be like. In the mountains of Montana, that weather is going to change dramatically. Summers are usually going to be hot and dry with the occasional storm coming through, and expect the temperatures to be in the mid-70s, 80s during the day, and then they'll drop in the 40s and 50s at night. If you're not from the West, it can be really cold in the morning, really hot during the day, and cold in the evening. So we want to make sure we're prepared, and I'll show you what we're going to wear today. So starting at the top, I like to wear a hat at all times. A hat is really good for sun protection. You know, at our elevation of being 6,000 to 9,000 feet, really close to the sun. So on those hot days, it can be really draining. There's not a lot of humidity. So it feels like, you know, the sun is just, and the wind is taking all the moisture out of you. So make sure you wear a hat. I always look to wear sunglasses. They make me look good, but they also protect myself from the sun. So don't forget your sunglasses. Make sure you bring sunscreen for your extremities. Underneath this here, I'm gonna wear, I like button-up shirts. This is always gonna be a synthetic shirt. You can use a polypropylene or long sleeve shirt if you prefer. And we wanna make sure that it's quick drying and wicking material. So please, no cotton. So everything that we wear, we want no cotton underwear, no cotton bra, no cotton socks. You know, that stuff's not gonna dry out, and you don't really want the foot funk or the crotch funk or any of that. So we'll stick to synthetics and nylon material. So again, we've got a long sleeve shirt, pick your flavor. Now make sure we have a belt. If you like belts, I like to also look for pants or shorts, synthetic, quick drying as well. And then as we move down to your feet, make sure we have quick drying socks. I'm really fond of merino wool. Even though wool sounds like it's going to be hot during the summer, it does an amazing job at wicking moisture off of your body and regulating your temperature quite well. So I usually in the morning will show up with my backpack ready to go. I'll have this on. If I want another layer, I may have that on before we start hiking, but you can imagine as we start to hike, our body's going to warm up. And so the idea is that we want to manage our moisture, manage our temperature. So as we start to sweat, we want to take layers off, get too hot. When we start to cool down, if we stop, there might be a light breeze. We'll be in the shade, so we want to stay warm, so we'll kind of put a jacket on. So now moving on to our backpack, we're going to start from top to bottom. On our treks, I like to run a 25 to 31 liter backpack. This backpack should carry everything I need for my day essentials. So that day essentials, we'll start at the top here. As a guide, I like to carry my inReach communication device. Always carry this in case of emergency. So that will be in my backpack here. I like to carry a neck gaiter or a balaclava. This is nice to put on my neck if it is cold. If there's bugs, I can kind of pull it up over my head. Sometimes when we get high in the mountains, it'll be windy and the sun will be bright, so this really helps protect your head and neck. I also like to carry a head net for bugs. So this head net is really convenient. I always recommend people making sure you have a brimmed hat. And what the idea behind the head net is, this allows us to put this on over top. The brimmed hat keeps this off of our face, and this just helps with if there's a lot of mosquitoes or bugs around. It kind of just keeps us sane because they can kind of really get into our face. So if you're sensitive to bugs or kids, it's really good for. Go ahead and invest yourself in a head net. In the top of my pack, I'm always going to carry a headlamp. The headlamp is a very convenient device. I always want to carry a headlamp with us. I'll kind of put this headlamp on. It's good for the mornings at camp. But if we ever had to get into a situation or an emergency situation, I always like to have a headlamp. If something happens and we're getting in dusk, we always want to make sure we have this on our persons. So a headlamp is another critical piece of equipment. And then on the top of my pack, I also carry a multi-tool. These are optional pieces, but if I ever needed anything or had to fix something, I would always have this available. So that would be on the top of my pack. On the sides of my pack here, we also carry some sunscreen and bug spray. I like to keep this on the outside so it's quick and easy to get to. On the outside of my backpack, I like to carry a rain fly. So when inclement weather comes in, I want to keep my gear protected. And so I'll put this rain fly over top of it. Likewise, I put a rain jacket over myself, and that will help protect my gear. So I've got that on my person there. You also see this hose coming out. I'm very, very fond of water bladders with hoses. I like to have at least a 2 to 3 liter hose or bladder with me. And this allows us, and this kind of just slides into my backpack here as it comes out. So we'll fill this up once we leave the trailhead, and when we get to camp, we'll have drinking water. So always make sure you stay hydrated, and a bladder's fine. If you are going to carry bottles, I recommend bringing at least 2 liter water bottles with you. If at any point in time on the trail we need to stop and get water, please ask us, because we'll have filtration systems on the trail. Next, we'll look at the hip belt on this here. I will have a bear spray. So this bear spray will be given out to all adults, and we'll show you how to safely use it and when to use it. Most often it's going to stay on my backpack, or if I'm in camp or if I'm walking around by myself, I might pull that out and carry it with me. But I have bear spray here, and then I also will carry on my hip or in your pocket cell phone. No cell service, thankfully, but we can use our camera and video, so that's always nice to document our trip. Now moving into the inside, most of what we're going to carry here. Like I said before, layers are really important. So if it's cool in the morning, I always like to carry a vest. A vest is a good thermal layer for us, kind of keeps us warm, protects our core. We can hike in it. If we start to get cool, we can put on another jacket. We start to get warm, we can take this off. So really good piece. We want to keep our core warm. I also here will have a snack bag. So snack bags for nutrition on the trail, and this is a lunch box. So every guest in the trip will get a lunch box with your lunch in it. And so these are great to have on the trail. I also like to carry with me some toilet paper and some hand sanitizer. Never know when nature calls. My own personal little stash if I want here. This is completely optional. When you're with us on the trail, we'll have what we call poop kits. So we'll be able to have toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and gloves, and then we'll also have like a shovel with us at camp or on the trail so we can dig a cat hole for our poop and our pee. So that's an optional, but I like to carry that. One of the most essential pieces of gear that I like to have is a rain jacket. So if there is bad weather that comes in, I'm getting cold, it's a little windy out, this rain jacket is great for rain protection. And make sure we have a good hood that comes up and over us here. Also, what's left in my backpack are some things that we don't use often, but we have them just in case. And we're always going to have a water filter on us. So as guides, we're always going to have a water filter on us for you guys when we need drinking water, or there will be one at camp. So you don't necessarily need this. On any kind of self-guided operations, we want to make sure we have a water filter, and then also a first aid kit. So a first aid kit is great for cuts and scrapes and minor blisters. So if you have your own personal one, it'd be great to have, on the trail. So that does it for what's in my backpack. As I just described, this should be what you would carry with you on the trail. All right, folks, now we're moving into everything we don't need on the trail. We're not going to wear, but you'll get a gear list from us. So you'll have a gear list of what we need to wear, what needs to go in your backpack, and then what needs to go on the Llama. So on our orientation meeting the night before, you'll be giving this 31-liter gear bag from Black Thunder Gear. And in this bag, you will put anything that you don't need on the trail. So extra underwear, extra socks, book. Well, let's just go through it and see what I have and what I would pack on my trip. So I would bring, if I'm going to wear shorts like I am today, hoping that it's summertime, if I decide not to, or I may bring an extra lightweight, quick drying nylon pant. I have my toiletry kit, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, ointments, anything that you would need. I'm also going to bring myself a camp towel. So I don't really need a big towel. So please, no cotton. So if we're going to go swimming, if we're going to do a dip in the creek or the lake, let's make sure this is a quick drying towel. We don't need anything beach towels or cotton towels. Those towels are really big. When they get wet, they're really hard to dry out, and now we're carrying around this big, heavy, wet thing. So we want to make sure that we have quick drying. So I'll bring one this here, and I like to bring a smaller one just for face and, you know, taking a little bath, if we will. I also have in here rain pants. So sometimes when we leave the trailhead, it may not be rainy, or we can kind of predict the forecast, but if it's unsure, we want to carry our rain pants with us if you prefer. If I know the forecast is going to be stormy for our duration, then I will most likely carry a rain pant so that when we get to camp or on the trail, we kind of keep ourselves protected, but we'll have that there. I like to bring several extra pairs of socks. So socks, we got to really protect our feet. You know, if they get wet, let's change out our socks, you know, when we get to camp. When we get to camp, make sure we have dry pair on. So I'll bring a pair of extra socks. And then also bring a big fluffy pair or thicker pair of comfy socks for at camp. You know, if I've been hiking in my boots all day, my feet are probably going to be a little sore. It's really nice to put on a big warm pair of socks. Additional undergarments, I'll probably bring at least 3 extra pair of underwear. Same things as socks. I want to change out those daily. And I know it's summertime, but in the mountains, it is good to have a hat. So any kind of ski type-esque hat is really nice for those really stormy days that come through, early mornings or evenings. A hat is really nice. And also I like to bring a thin pair of gloves, again, for those early mornings or stormy days. I'll also bring a lightweight bottom layer. So this is going to be next to skin. So I put my underwear on, and then I put on this lightweight piece, say in the morning, and then I put on my pants. So as we layer ourselves in the morning, kind of keeps our bottom warm. And then as the day goes on, if we need to take them off, we take them off, and it goes right into our bag here. I'm also, if I leave the trailhead and it's warm out and I don't need an insulating jacket, so a puffy jacket, I may put this in my bag because I'm definitely going to want this when we get in the evenings or early in the mornings, especially if we want to see the sunrise at 6 o'clock. It's going to be pretty chilly out. If it is stormy out, I may decide to take this with me and put it in my day pack. So we make those decisions when we leave the trailhead. Some other items that I want to carry in this gear bag. I'm going to bring a charger for my phone and my device. Make sure you don't forget your cord, so your charging device. I like to bring an extra water bottle, even though I have my bladder with me for hose when I'm drinking on the trail. When I get to camp, it's really nice to just fill one of these up and drink there. We will have cups and bowls and plates and everything for some people, but it's always nice to have your personal one that you can kind of hike around with. And, you know, last but not least, I always like to bring a good book. And in these days, I'm reading Pioneer and Mountain in Montana, The Making of a State, 1864 to 1887. Really fond of pioneering in Montana. So as we move down the body, we've talked about our socks. We want to make sure we got good footwear. So in footwear, I personally like to wear boots. This is a Chenet's 6-inch boot, so it's 6 inch tall. I prefer to have a boot, especially on uneven terrain, walking around, protects my ankle. But somebody could also use a hiking shoe. So it's important that we look at hiking specific footwear because sometimes like running shoes or tennis shoes or any of these other types of sporting shoes may not be designed specifically for, you know, trail application. So for instance, like a lot of times on these hiking shoes, there'll be more of a thin plastic plate that's in here so that when we step on a rock, that rock's not going to poke you in the bottom of the foot. It actually disperses or displaces a lot of that pressure. So anything that you look at your local outdoor store like REI and the like, you'll find some great footwear there. So folks, that's what I have for us today on what goes on us that we should wear, what goes in our backpack, and what goes on the Llama. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear it. If you have any questions about buying gear, give me a call, and we will see you at the trailhead.